Yeah, no, we worked really well in the last quarter to get the result, but like everyone here is waiting to see, it's what we're going to do next week.
It puts you back in contention for the 18th.
Let's worry about next week. We're on a situation right now where next week's a really important game for us. We get a chance to compete with a team in the same position that we are. So we need to put our best foot forward next week, and the following week comes around quickly. But we want to focus really hard on improving our effort next week compared to what we did on the weekend. And I think we're all waiting to see it, and we'll get judged next week, and we expect a very consistent effort, which is what we're trying to do. We're trying to break the cycle, and next week gives us that chance.
How do you actually carry that over from one week to the next? I mean, that's been such a problem all year. How do you make sure that form can actually extend to another week?
Oh, it gets back to training, gets back to everything about a game on a weekend is about the preparation. So we've got to prepare as well as we have and make sure that our efforts from the start to the finish. And if you start confidently, and there are going to be times in games where we're being challenged, and we need to really fight and grind our way out of situations. And we found ourselves in probably two games. North Melbourne game in the third quarter and the St Kilda game in the third quarter as well, where the game was there. We were within 10 points, or I think the North Melbourne game we were within a goal. And that last 10 minutes of the third quarter against the Saints in North Melbourne wasn't competitive enough. So we've been in those two games, but we need to do it for 120 minutes. And I mean, it's a very simple thing to say, but we need to put into some action on the weekend.
You've got the highest average winning margin in the league, and also second highest average losing margin. What do you say to that? What's the implications of that? Is it your players playing with too much emotion?
I know this might sound bland, but we need to be more consistent with our effort, and we'll reduce those highs and lows.
Dean, you had a lot to say about Trengo's suspension in relation to the sling tackle. We've seen Corey's and Cozzie's over the weekend. What are your thoughts in relation to those? Did the tackles result in a head high or a concussion of any delay? Is it delayed concussion after the tackle, or I'm not sure whether there was any head injury after the tackle or not, but I'm sure the AFL will do their due diligence and look at the tackles, the sling tackles, and so forth. And if they deem that the head, I think it was said that the head is sacrosanct, so we'll see what happens from there. But a lot of tackles have happened since then, and a lot of tackles will continue to go on. So they'll be tested every week, I think. And Mark J. Mark, you indicated yesterday that he could return this weekend. I know it's sort of...
Yeah, no, he should be able to train this week, and he'll be up for selection. Yeah. I mean, we might be able to play J-Mar, Gawn and Martin in the forward line. All three might be able to play two talls and a ruckman. We're looking at trying to kick the ball in deeper to a couple of targets, and I think all three playing in the game. If you look at some of the other teams that have gone with tall forwards, and I think there might be an option for us.
J-Mar's a good mark, obviously.
Yeah, J-Mar's a good mark, very good contested mark, as we saw with Steph Martin on the weekend. And Maxi Gawn just needs, when you're tight at 8 centimetres, you're a good target to kick to. So I think that's an option for us.
Tigers got three key forwards. Does that make it very important that Garland comes up this week? And if he doesn't, is sort of Warnock or Tom McDonald next to him?
Yeah, I think certainly. Matty Warnock's in good form. So if there's an issue with Garlow, he today looked like he was limping around today better than what we thought he'd be. So we're still 24 hours post game. So no, I think Garlow should come up, but we've got a ready replacement. Matty who's in good form. So we're in a good situation with Warnock playing well, and if Garlow doesn't come up, obviously, Matty be a good option.
Is Brett Green injured?
No, he walked out on crutches yesterday, and that's just a precautionary thing. He rolled his ankle, but he's walking around fine today. So
Someone's left on my crutches this morning, that's all.
Yeah, it's just a precautionary thing. I just met with Brad 5 minutes ago, and he's walking around with nothing, no crutches at all. Post game, you'll see that you take the weight off a rolled ankle, and clubs are very precautious post game on one right, elevating the ankle, or a hematoma at some stage. So it's more recovery, precautionary stuff, So he's walking around today, okay.
So he's a certainty for the Richmond game?
Yeah, if he gets through training, he should be okay, but I can't see why not. He played very well on the weekend, so no, he's battled little injuries for his whole career, Greeny. So I don't think this is going to keep him out. No.
How big a game is it this weekend? Obviously against the Tigers in a similar position, just outside the 8. How big a game is it for your club?
Yeah, no, it's an important game because we get to compete against a club that's probably in a similar situation where we are. To be honest, I mean both trying to develop a list, both trying to get experience into their team, and at the end of it, there's 4 points, and it's going to be a high pressured game, I think, and there's going to be a lot of desperation. I think both clubs are looking at it through the eyes of taking that next step on each other, I think, and the competitive nature between the two clubs is there, and I think it's going to be a terrific game of footy.
Also excited about the midfield battles, two of the sort of emerging star sort of breeds of the midfielders, these two clubs.
Yeah, I mean I think one of the things that the Tigers have really improved in significantly is that if you roll Dustin Martin, Nathan Foley, and Nathan Foley's almost been a forgotten player, if you like, but he's a very, very important part of their midfield. You've got Cochin playing well. Jackson plays as a really outstanding run-with player. Delidio's playing halfback, but certainly getting some rolls through the middle of the ground. So there's some really exciting matchups, and our blokes are looking forward to it, with Scully and Trengav coming through there with Mackenzie. So there's a real matchup, and but also the excitement that all those players have brought to both of their clubs. So I think it'll be a terrific game.
Mackenzie was one that you just mentioned. He's one of the few that you did mention that wasn't an early draft pick. How important is he to the team? He got the better of Pavlich yesterday. He's obviously added a bit since he's come back from injury.
No, look. Once you get drafted, you walk in the door, and the expectations are exactly the same. We want to know what you can offer, and there's been some outstanding players that have come off the rookie list, but sort of late picks that have really made the most of their opportunities. And Geordie's one of those players, and I thought he was good on the weekend. He had a really big battle against a superstar of the competition in Pav, and lucky a lot of other players were able to help Geordie, and his effort on the weekend was terrific, and I'd expect nothing less from a Geordie Mackenzie game on the weekend. He gives 100% every time he trains, every time he plays. So he's a great young leader for us.
How's Aaron Davey coming along?
No, he's good. Flash is good. He's just started to intensify his running. So the operation went well. He's not getting any swelling post the operation. But the important thing is when he starts running, he hasn't got any swelling at the moment. So. He's on track, so he's. I think the next couple of weeks he'll be running around, and he's already getting itchy feet to play. Flash. It seems to have been a long time since he's played, so that's a good sign.
Imagine at the start of the year, the most important thing for Blees would be stringing games to get in the best again yesterday. How close is he sort of coming out of selection?
No, Bleesy's been around the mark for probably the last. To be fair to Sammy, probably the last 3 or 4 weeks, to be honest. He was good. His form has been good, and it's been consistent, and we probably went Strauss. We picked Strauss probably because he was just in a little bit better form, but Bleesy's come along really well, and he's not too far away. He just needs to be consistent in the VFL, and you're right. The question is how many games he can put together and play well, and he's knocking on the door, and he's knocking on the coach's door. He's visiting Brian Royal at home at the moment, so Choco's got him doing a bit of work around the house, so he's doing all the right things, Bleesy.
And no issues anymore with his ankle or leg?
No. He's attacking the game with great confidence now, which is great. I mean, the young bloke's had an amazing challenge in his young life to get over what he has, and football being so prominent with him. So no, he's come through it pretty well, and he does some exciting things, Sammy. There's no doubt.
Does James Frawley get the role on Revolt this week?
Wow, we've got James could play on him, and certainly Cole Garland, if he comes up, certainly could play him. And if Cole doesn't come up, then Matty Warnock's a very versatile type of player as well. So it'll be a challenge to think about. What the Tigers have been able to do is not only spread their goal kickers, but they're coming from different avenues as well. Dustin Martin's been kicking goals up forward. The midfielders are getting forward and kicking them as well. So he's an outstanding player, Jack, and he's always going to be a threat and wants to be in the game. So if it's a Frawley Rewald, if it's a Garland Rewald, the matchup's going to be good.
Just finally, sick of the word roller coaster?
Oh, well, next week we've got a challenge to be consistent. So that's what our challenge is.
Just on that, I mean, did you or the team sort of do anything different after the game yesterday in terms of sort of moving the focus forward to next week and sort of, I guess, emphasising the importance of that?
No, not really. No, I don't think so. There was nothing. Greeny just spoke to the players afterwards about out on the ground. I think that was more about getting the balls out in the crowd, and I think there was 19,000 to 20,000 people who came to watch us, and they deserve a pat on the back as much as anything. I mean, particularly after our performance a week before. So, and no, not really. I mean, we know where we're at. We know what we've got to do next week. So we want to get on and start to play well and perform well next week against, you know, a really good opposition who are fighting for the same thing we are, which is 4 points.
Is there something tangible in your preparation that you've identified that you can sort of pick whether the boys are on or off week to week?
I'd have to be Merlin the magician to work that out, I'd reckon. I'd have to look in my crystal ball and just see what was in there, because players prepare, they like to prepare the same every single week, and the game is incredibly mentally exhausting in the sense of getting up every week. Now, this is going to be a 6-day break for us again. The indicators for us is we train well, we normally play well. So, you know, nothing changed from that point of view.